everybody. Welcome to the episode today. This is really an exciting time. We've got a new year, new stuff happening. We could reach our greatest fulfillment and desires. And so today I wanted to bring on a guest who is so full of positivity and excitement that he really helps people around the world learn to fall and find their passions and allow themselves to live those to the greatest abilities that they can. So one of the questions that he likes to ask his clients is, who are you? I mean, who are you really? Do you know who you are? And if you know who you are, and write that down, or at least what you think you know about yourself, and hand that to a good friend of yours, would they laugh? Would they say that's who you are? Would they agree? Or are we kind of off base sometimes? Our guest today is going to help us straighten that out. And we're going to have a great show because it is, again, about the new you creating your desires in 2018. So welcome to Creative Visions TV. I'm your host, Karen Dahlman. So let me tell you a little bit more about our guest today. So for 30 years, he's been in the field of personal development. He's worked with people all over the world in many different types of programs, one-on-one counseling sessions, also through radio, through talk shows, TV, through life coach training. He's even worked with athletes to help them be their personal best within their sports. So one time an athlete came to him and she was trying to find a way to release the resentments within her life towards a former partner. And that took David into a new arena of life coaching because he helped her be able to do just that. And that opened up a whole new world for him. And so he's known for doing his life coaching around the world, as I said, and also had a syndicated radio show and still does to this day for the past 27 years. Like I said, he's very positive. He is also an adjunct professor, has been before, and also was the 2016 keynote speaker at Syracuse University College of Education. So this is really quite an accomplishment. Now let me add to this. He also is a #1 best-selling author 2 times on his last 2 books. And I love the title of one of the books we're going to be talking about today, which is called Positive Thinking Will Never Change Your Life, but this book will. The Myth of Positive Thinking and the Reality of Success. So, he's an inspirational speaker, he's a master life coach, he's a counselor and radio TV host, and let's welcome our guest to the show. Without further ado, let's welcome the talented David Essel. Welcome,
hey,
David. Hi. How are you today?
Oh, my gosh. It sounded like my mom wrote that intro. Did she help you?
You know, she did. No, I wrote that myself. You guys, when I bring guests on, I want to say this about David, and any guest I bring for that matter, I always look and do the research to see, are they going to help us all fulfill and find our greatest personal self within? Are they going to help us navigate that and to bring it out into the world? And he does it. So yes, I did my research, David.
I could tell. That was really beautiful. I'm glad to be a part of your show. Oh, we're going to have so much fun today.
Well, you have a really great story to tell us. It has to do with answering the questions about who am I, who are you? Do I really know myself? Do you want to share that?
Oh, I'd love to, Karen. You know, I have a fellow counselor, and every couple years we get together and we do this exercise. And the exercise is before we meet, I go and write down who I think I am in bullet points. You know, I'm spiritual, I'm wealthy, I'm fit, I'm whatever it might be. And she does the same thing. And then we sit together and we say, well, how have we progressed over the last couple years since we did this? So the last time we did it, she said to me, David, go ahead and start. So I'm reading off. I didn't get past bullet number 3. And Karen, she was laughing hysterically. She was sitting across from me and she couldn't even sit up straight. Her arms were across her belly and she is just hysterically. And I was getting a little frustrated. I said,
what?
Yeah, like, what are you doing? Like, what's so funny? And here was my response. What is so funny? Because I couldn't understand. I didn't think I said anything funny, you know? And so I thought she was just goofing around or just doing something obnoxious. And she looked at me and she said, now start the real list. And
Wow.
I said, I am. And she goes, oh, God, David. She said, all right, well, let me tell you. The very first thing you said is you're a laid back guy. You are the most high-strung type A achiever I've ever met. Number 2, you say you're a beach dude. Yeah, you live right near the beach and you go once every 7 days.
Oh.
Dude, that's not being – and she just went and ripped everything I said apart. And Karen, as I sat there, I said to myself, oh my gosh, this is like such a great exercise because in our minds, we know the power of thought to multiply. So in our minds, when we think that we're really giving and we're really compassionate and we're really relaxed or we're really something, we can convince ourselves that we are that. We can walk around shoulders up, head back like we are that. But then when someone who really knows us sits across from us and reads it, it may be a totally different story. And, you can't accomplish huge things from this very day forward if you don't know who the heck you are. Because like when I say that I'm this relaxed beach dude, and what she responded to me with the laughter is that I said to myself after that session, and I took some notes, I said, I really need to start adding more relaxation into my life. And that was a great takeaway, so, and I did. And right after, her and I had the session together, and she had some things that I laughed at too. So it wasn't a one-sided event.
That's good. Well, that's a good point. So if you think you are this relaxed person, and then you go, well, maybe I just need to bring that more into my life so that you accomplish that. But then also then you can see who you really are. Does she give you feedback and say, hey, you really have a type A personality that's very pumped up? And did that help you to say, wow, now I can use this in other ways too?
Yeah, well, first, whenever someone is agreeing that there's a trait that you have, now it might even be what we would quote like not a nice trait, like I'm really self-centered,
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Like, and when we do the list, we do the things that we think we are that are positive and things that we have to really work on. I'm still a little too impatient. I'm still a little too whatever it might be. So we both walked away saying, wow, I am a little too high strung. This is me speaking, I am a goal setter, goal achiever type of a dude. And there's really good traits about everything. But then those same traits that you're really good at, that could be your Achilles heel.
Yeah.
And we got to be careful and look for that elusive thing called life balance, right?
Right. So how did knowing these traits, how do they work themselves into finding the success you want to find in business, a career, and in your personal life?
Well, one of the most important things that through this exercise I learned is that my biggest creative moments come when I'm not working.
Oh, that's great.
So when I'm at the beach and I'm taking the time to sit, I can't tell you, Karen, how many concepts for all of my books that came out while I'm sitting on the beach. Like I would go and write my books on the beach. I would go. And so I found that while it's great to be type A, high strung, go-getter and all that kind of stuff. And let me make a time out here. Even though I am all those things, my blood pressure is normal and everything else. So I don't want people to think that you can be type A and just say, well, I'm proud to be a goal getter and have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, et cetera. You got to be careful, right?
Yes.
So I found through this is that when I started reflecting of what are the benefits, even when I'm out shooting basketball, I played basketball in college and my knees won't let me play anymore, but I can go and shoot. So when I'm on the court, my mind relaxes and creativity flows. When I'm on the beach, my mind relaxes and creativity flows. So I saw that some of these things I needed to change are actually not a bad thing. And it's kind of nice to hang out at the beach or on the court,
I hear you. That is so true. That's a good point. I want everybody to really hear is get into a space where you can allow that creative flow from the part of your brain where you get out of that more logical linear thinking. We talk a lot, David, on this show about that, how to get in the other phase of being, which you said for you is going into nature, getting out, relaxing. And I got to say, when I write my books too, I wrote some of them in a swimming pool, at my little swim-up bar in my pool, or floating on a raft because it got me into another dimension, another realm to just be creative. So you're right. So many great ideas come from that.
Yeah, they really do. And you deserve, like life isn't just about accomplishing, whatever the goals that we have is life is about enjoying.
Yes.
And, I have a younger brother. He's 3 years younger than I am. And every week he texts me. I'm not kidding. Every Friday he'll text me and say, how many days are you going? The island is 5 minutes from my house. How many days are you going to the island this weekend? Like he is. Now, I just finished a book. So we've been spending weekends doing all kinds of work, it's so fun. And now, as of this coming weekend, it's interesting that I'm on your show because as of this coming weekend, I'm back on the beach and I haven't been there for 10 weeks.
Oh.
Because of all
you've been writing.
Yeah. We've just been editing hard and cover design and, all that kind of fun stuff. So now I'm going back to, and so he texted me just the other day and with this big question mark, when? Because I knew exactly what he was asking. And I was able to text him back this weekend finally. So I'll get back into that routine again.
Yay! Well, okay, so that's great. So you're doing something positive for yourself. That's fantastic. So let's talk about this other book. It was the #1 bestseller on Amazon, right?
Yes.
And do you have the cover of the book that we can show everybody?
Let's see. Well, the first one that hit #1, and this was 21 years of writing books.
Before you became a #1 bestseller, right?
Before. So, and this was the 8th book that we published, and we finally hit #1, and it was, and I'll tell you, it was the first book too. And this is interesting, Karen. It's the first book I ever did a collaboration on.
Yes, you have stories from other people that they gave you, right?
Yeah, I'd never done that before. And, I have so many great connections with incredibly well-known and very successful people who have overcome huge challenges in life. So when I was writing that book, I started thinking, I have all these people that used to believe in the power of thought and used to believe in the power of the mind. And I know from interviewing them on radio that it hasn't worked for them. So I reached out to 6 New York Times bestselling authors that I knew had gone through this tradition and a transition from, whatever you believe you can achieve type of nonsensical thinking, in my opinion, to, individuals that worked their butt off to accomplish huge goals. And I got 6 New York Times bestselling authors to say yes, and then another 5 individuals that aren't even authors but have overcome massive setbacks in life, not through their thoughts, mainly through willingness to get uncomfortable. And I sent this query letter out when I was writing the book, and I said, hey guys, here's the outline for my new book. I'm just writing it right now. If you would like to be a part of it with your story in your own words, I would love to incorporate it in the book. And Karen, the coolest thing happened, which told me I was on the right path. Within 24 hours, they all got back to me saying, amazing. Thank God someone is exposing the myth of positive thinking, and yes, we want to be in the book. And their stories are profound. They're beautiful.
Well, so now let's back up here. You're to talk about open the doors and exposing the myth of positive thinking. And now this is a show for the new year. So what do you mean by that, David? Let's backtrack and really explain that.
Yeah. Well, from 1980 until 1996, the first 16 years of my career, I traveled the world 40 weeks a year as a motivational speaker. And I'd get on stage and say, with all the great intention, Karen, and my best knowledge for what I knew at that time, following the gurus ahead of me. And I would say, whatever you believe you can achieve, and the crowd would go nuts. And I would give them stories of people overcoming hardships, and they'd go nuts. And then the next city I was in, I would say to them, if you just put the right positive thoughts out there, those things you want will come to you. And the crowd would go nuts. So 1996, I'm hosting a nationally syndicated show with Westwood One, which is one of the biggest syndicators in the world. And we got a contact from Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Maharishi, of course, is the founder of Transcendental Meditation. And he was celebrating the 40th anniversary in 1996. It was the 40th anniversary of TM. Of course, the Beatles made TM really, really famous in the 60s. And he selected our radio show as the only media outlet in the United States of America to celebrate the 40th anniversary. So we were so honored.
Oh, yeah.
I get him on the show. He was so incredibly intelligent, Karen, that I would ask him a question like, what's the meaning of life? He would go off. I wouldn't understand 90% of it, and then he would be done, and I'd start giggling, and he'd start giggling. He was hilarious, because he knew I wasn't following him, and I was honest. I go, oh my God, you just blew my mind. Could you repeat it in something I can understand?
Right.
And he was really adorable and cute. Well, through a series of events with Maharishi and one of his top assistants who had been with him for 36 years, he exposed my belief system in affirmations as being erroneous. And what came out of it was, for 25 years, I had an affirmation in the morning that I said every day with passion, with energy. I am David Essel, a child of God, happy, healthy, and sober today. And every night I drank myself to sleep for over 20 years. doing the work I'm doing right now as a counselor, as a coach, as a speaker, as an author. Okay, Karen. So my life has never changed. I was helping people get sober, and I was an alcoholic. I was a cocaine addict as well.
Oh, wow.
So he basically he said, how is that working for you? How are your affirmations working for you? And he blew my mind, because this is a guy who's just, his work is based on the mind, meditation, right?
Right.
And he's exposing me as a fraud.
Wow.
That my work wasn't true because it wasn't working for me. Now, he did it in a class way that I explained in my book, but it still was the same thing. At the end of the day, is that what I was doing wasn't working. My affirmations, Karen, were keeping me in denial.
Wow, that's huge, David.
It's massive, honey. And you know, and anyone that's watching this right now, I'm really sorry to blow your gourd, but listen, let me tell you something. If you're saying I am a millionaire and you're not, you're lying to yourself. If you're saying that you're a size 8 and you're a size 22, you're lying to yourself. If you're saying that you deserve a great loving relationship because the person you're with is a slob, you're lying to yourself. You deserve what you get. You deserve the life you have right now and not a damn thing more until you change what you do on a daily basis. And those affirmations will keep you in this la-la, nonsensical, fantastical thought process that is not our reality. And Maharishi shook me to my core.
Amazing.
And in 1996, I had to stop all the way I was teaching, speaking, working, Karen. It was a great wake-up call.
Yeah, wake-up call. So, all right, so how does someone then, I mean, I know positive thinkings or positive affirmations are still in your life. You still use them. So it augments. We could talk about that a little bit. But how does someone get into I guess this goes back to our original question, who am I? Who are you really? Do you know who you are? So when you get in honesty with yourself, then what do you do next to be able to start making those changes?
So let's say that you've been using affirmations or vision boards or something that is illogical in nature. In other words, you're stating something that isn't true. You're hoping, you know, like, and even gratitude statements. I mean, some of my teachers still to this day tell people that be grateful for what you don't have. Now think about this. Mm-hmm. If you don't have your $1 million in the bank, say, I am so grateful for the $1 million in the bank. That's bullshit. That's ridiculous. You know, and can I say that word?
Yes, you can.
I know this is a spiritual show, so I don't want to irritate anyone.
Oh, no. Spiritual doesn't mean that you don't say those words.
Okay. I just won't drop the F-bomb. But
at that point, I might bleep you out.
That's right. Exactly. But, you know, when we're saying things like, you know, I am so grateful for my size 6 body when we're a size 22. It's nonsense. You know, like, we've got to get back into reality. So this is, to answer your question, this is what we do. We look at the life we have and we start to make a decision. What's the one area that you have the most challenge, the most of the most growth to make in? Is it an addiction? Is it your body? Is it a health issue? Is it money? Is it your relationship? Is it a spiritual path? What's the one that's created the most chaos over the years? And you start to make a plan on what you're going to do with that one area. Now, in our new book, we talk about how to make affirmations reality, which I'll share with you right now. If you have a struggle, the new affirmation should be, I am an alcoholic, and I will be contacting Jim Smith in 48 hours to start a recovery program for my alcoholism. That would be an accurate, up-to-date affirmation.
Mm-hmm. And you can believe it because you know it's real. And then the power is in your beliefs behind something, right?
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah.
Thank you. So if you're trying to believe something that isn't true in your physical world, you're lying to yourself. Mm-hmm. You're in denial. And that's what I was. You know, listen, someone said to me the other day on a radio interview, they said, you know, like, who are you to tear apart the secret and the law of attraction? And I said, first of all, 20% of the secret and the law of attraction are true. Okay, so I'm not tearing them fully apart. I'm saying 80% are false. Okay, but there's 20% that I like about them. But I said, who could be better to talk about the unreality of those programs than someone who used to teach them?
For many years, no less.
16 years of my life I dedicated to teaching things that aren't true. And so now I'm saying, you know what? I am so sorry, gang. I blew it. And
well, did you really blow it? I'm thinking it's important to have something positive to shoot for, right? But it's more important to put the action and responsibility of yourself behind is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, it's so important. But I did blow it. And I'll tell you why. Because, I was a parrot.
Oh, got it.
I was just repeating very successful people who were my teachers, even though it didn't work. Karen, I had proof it didn't work. For 25 years, I said I'm sober, and I never was.
And you weren't.
So, I blew it, man. I'll be the first to admit it when I blow it, and I really did. And so I say now, please follow reality versus illusion. Here's something else I write about in our brand new book, Focus. Okay. I did a summit on the power of intuition with Julie Cairns out of Australia. And during the summit, Julie said, hey, how do you know if you're really in tune with your intuition? Lots of us say, I've got really good intuition.
Right.
And I go, let me tell you a great story of people who have awesome intuition. When things like The Secret and the Law of Attraction are talked about, that you can get checks in the mail by thinking that you're going to get checks in the mail, the person who's really tuned into intuition says, time out, please. Isn't that a little too good to be true? Come on now. If you're really in touch with intuition, you're able to sniff BS. And you're able to say, no, wait a minute. You're going to tell me that I can put a picture of $1 million home in Los Angeles and put it in a storage center, not do anything for 5 years, wake up one day, surprised as I can be that I'm living in that house in Los Angeles, and then, heaven forbid, I pull out this box that was in the storage unit, and there's the same house. And all I did was put it on a vision board. Those stories I'm telling you are directly out of The Secret.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a story about Dr. Joe Vitale, one of the stars of The Secret, in a minute, right? But so people with really good intuition, Karen, would say, wait a minute, a green tea pill to lose 50 pounds of fat in 30 days? Hold on. Wait a minute. A coiled spring between my thighs is going to give me the body of Suzanne Summers? Wait. Time out. Wait a minute. And so people with really good intuition are very logical, and they can smell through nonsense. And that's one of the greatest signs of intuition, is that they intuitively know something that's ridiculous, just like they know intuitively that something is really great. Intuition has a yin and a yang to it. It's not just someone who has intuition to all good stuff in life.
That's true.
They can smell snake oil salesmen. And what I said to Julie is that, listen, in 1996, I changed everything about my nonsensical teaching. However, I had a slip in 2007. And that is when The Secret came out, because of the all-stars like Oprah and all these other people that are saying it is so true. For 6 months, I slipped back to my old teachings.
Oh, okay. Wow, interesting.
Oh, I just love to be brutally honest with my screw-ups. Because that's how we know who we are.
That's it. Yes.
Oh, Dr. Joe Vitale. So I got to tell this story. I write about it in our book, Positive Thinking Will Never Change Your Life. And I love Dr. Joe. If you don't know who he is, or if you remember him from The Secret, I believe some of his most beautiful work is with the prayer Ho'oponopono. Which is he wrote several books on this Hawaiian prayer. And if you are not familiar with it, gang, go and get it. I love prayer, and it is an absolutely beautiful prayer about asking to be forgiven for what we've done in the past. It's mind-blowingly gorgeous. But anyway, so I have Dr. Joe on the show, and I said to him, Dr. Joe, I got to ask you this question right up front. In the book, The Secret, it says you were homeless and you became a millionaire. Is that true? He said, absolutely. Now, in The Secret, it says that you became a millionaire by imagining checks coming in the mail. Is that true? There was this long pause, and I got a big smile on my face. I said, hello, Dr. Joe?
Uh-oh.
We both started laughing. He goes, well, David, part of that is true. I said, what part of it? He goes, well, they left out something kind of important. I said, no kidding, Joe. What might that be? Now, you'll understand this, Karen, from what you shared with me before we started the show today. Dr. Joe was homeless. Dr. Joe did have affirmations about becoming a millionaire. Right. But in between his homelessness and becoming a millionaire, before The Secret found him, He worked 7 days a week, 12 to 14-hour days for years to become a millionaire.
Yep. That's the part a lot of people do not know. You have to put your responsibility, your self-responsibility, your energy and effort behind all these things and augment it with the positivity. I mean,
absolutely.
So that part wasn't really talked about so much in The Secret.
Well, there's, and bless their hearts, like they're out to market a book, and they did a damn good job at marketing it. I will tell you that, Karen. Rhonda Byrne.
Did. Yeah. Oh. And by the way, I have The Secret. I read the book, and I also have the video, and I really enjoyed it. And share with people because I think there's some good stuff in it to really get you at least aligned with some of your dreams and desires, and starting to look at who you are. But I think there are some pieces missing, and I think we're waking up to that more so now. It sounds like you woke up to it quite a few years ago.
Yeah, but then I slipped, because it was so seductive. I mean, let's think about it.
Yes.
The Secret is like someone buying lottery tickets that doesn't have any money. It's the seduction of, even though the odds are 1 billion to 1, it's the seduction of not having to do anything, Karen.
I know.
That's the seduction, And in the book, Positive Thinking Will Never Change Your Life, but this book will. I tell a story of, because I explain why The Secret and the Law of Attraction is so attractive from a psychological point of view. In 1996, we created something in our courses called Human Nature as the reasons why we don't do the work we need to do to lose the weight, make the money, find deep love, whatever we're looking for. The definition we created in 1996 for human nature is our desire to get the most out of life with minimal effort.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, that drives the human being. When we ask the question, why is 70% of Americans overweight or obese? It's not genetics. University of Florida study has shown us that about 6% of people who are overweight or obese have a genetic link. That means 94% do not. So we're trying to get the most out of life with minimal effort. So instead of doing what we know we need to do, cut back on calories, go to the gym, do the right things, eat clean, quit drinking, all that kind of stuff to lose weight.
Right.
We want to find that green tea pill or the coil between your legs to, have the legs of Suzanne Summers. So when The Secret came out and the Law of Attraction came out, listen to this as well. It was right at the beginning of the huge Great Depression #2, 2006, 2007.
Right.
The crash of the real estate market. And so this gave us like all this hope that, oh my gosh, everything's out of my control. The economy's out of my control. I can use affirmations to attract checks in the mail. Well, who the heck wouldn't want that to happen, even though it's totally filled with illusion?
Amazing. So would you hold up the book that's coming out in January too? This is the book that has the affirmations in it, right? This is the book called Focus?
Yeah. Can you read that? I don't know if the lighting is good.
Read it for us.
Yeah, it's called Focus, and then there's an X through the Law of Attraction because we explain in great detail the illusion of the Law of Attraction here. And not just me. We have some other experts talking about it as well. Then the next line down is Slay Your Goals. And then underneath that is a proven guide to huge success, a great attitude, and profound love. And this book will come out in January 2018.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and we have something at the top. I don't know if you can read, but the foreword is by celebrity Jenny McCarthy.
Yeah, right.
And Jenny is, oh my God, I've always been a huge fan of her, from her Playboy days to doing the New Year's Eve thing with Ryan Seacrest, The View, and her own show on radio. And I fell in love with this girl. And the very first time I was on her show, do I have time to tell this story?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, please.
Okay. This was so adorable. So the day before I'm going to be on Jenny's Sirius XM show, I get a call from her producer, Michelle. Michelle's a sweetheart. And she goes, oh my God, Jenny is so excited to have you on tomorrow. I just have to tell you that she's very intrigued as well because she's a huge fan of The Secret and the Law of Attraction. And so, but we want to have you on, but I just want to give you that as a heads up. And so I go, thank you. Karen, that's exactly what I thought. So I said, oh God. So I'm trying to think that night, how am I going to do this? Because she's a huge fan and I don't want to turn her off to what I have to do. But Jenny took care of it for me. So she introduces me and we start chit-chatting, and it was like talking to a mirror, we were laughing and our energy was identical. And all of a sudden she goes, okay, wait a minute, David Essel, I love positive thinking.
Yeah.
And yet, the title of your book, Positive Thinking Will Never Change Your Life, but this book will. The myth of positive thinking, the reality of success intrigues me. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to give you 3 to 4 minutes to convince me of what your philosophy is, and then we'll chat. Go.
Pressure.
I know. But Karen, it's what I love. You know, like I live for this, right? And so I couldn't wait. I said, oh my God. And she gave me exactly 3 minutes, and I rocked it. And at the end of it, she goes, oh my Lord. And she turns to the audience and says, gang, listen up.
Yeah.
This guy knows what he's talking about. Follow him. David Essel is the new leader of the positive thinking movement.
Wow.
It was heavy. It was intense. And then I've been back 4 times this year with her since then. And, you know, every time it's like another magical experience with her. But this, I want to say this about Jenny McCarthy. As funny as she is and witty as she is.
She's funny.
Funnier than hell, right?
Yeah.
She is, you have to be outrageously, incredibly humble and intelligent to have someone come in and blow your mind on something you truly believe in and be able to change your belief in 3 minutes.
Yeah, and be open to that. Just to allow yourself to be open to that possibility.
Exactly.
That's huge.
It's massive, Karen. And so, you know, she is such a great friend and just a great cohort, and someone that I have so much respect for, because that's not an easy thing to do. Imagine that, you know, let's say that you have this outrageously powerful belief about some part of spirituality or something in your life that you have held on to for a long time, and you know it's true, and you listen to someone talk for 3 minutes and you go, wow, my belief was wrong. I'm taking this new one. That's incredible. How many people can do that? Seriously.
How many people will allow themselves to be open enough to do that? I think we have to be willing to change, and change as we get new information presented to us. Now, I have to be honest with my audience, too. When I first got his information to come on the show, I went, what does he mean by this? Because I do like positive thinking. But when I started reading what he was all about and learning that he's like, it's not that you can't do positive thinking. You really got to get your butt out there and start working too. Put yourself in the direction through your actions, through your words, being honest with yourself, who you really are. And I thought, this guy is really speaking what the truth is behind it. It's not just sitting there in your room writing notes about or journals about all these positive things that are going to happen when you don't believe them. So I when I started reading deeper into stuff, I went, my gosh, he just has another angle to it. He kind of went inside of it, ripped it up, took the secret, turned it inside out, and said, look, this is what this is really about. Put yourself into it. Look at who you really are. Be active. Pursue it. This is why we're doing this for 2018, because it's a new year, a new way, and maybe we all can shift and change with this and find out really how to find fulfillment in our life through following some of these ideas that David's talking about.
And you know, the commitment to it has to be, if you want a huge goal, you've got to make a huge commitment. Like, you know, in our new book, on the Focus book, I tell a story, oh my gosh, of a great friend, Evelyn Keeling. Now wait till you hear this, Karen.
Okay.
Evelyn, and imagine this number. When I tell you the number of pounds that she lost, okay?
Oh.
She lost 245 pounds.
Wow.
I tell this story in the book Focus. 245 pounds. In her late 40s, in her 50s, after losing that weight, she walked on stage in Las Vegas in front of 15,000 screaming fans as a bodybuilder.
Whoa, she really went to the other extreme. Wow.
And that's the focus that we, you know, why the title of the book. If you want something big, you've got to focus on that massive goal. And what Evelyn did, you know, like there aren't, thank God, a lot of people that are 250 pounds overweight in the world. You know, there's a higher percentage than we think. But if you're watching this and you're 20 pounds or 40 pounds or 80 or 100 pounds overweight, if Evelyn Keeling can lose 245 pounds and become a bodybuilder, and it was nothing to do with genetics, she proved it had nothing to do with genetics. You know, it was her lifestyle. It was a lack of coping skills for stress. It was all of those things. Let me tell you something. An Oreo is identical to a glass of wine. An Oreo is identical to a glass of wine or a cigarette. An Oreo is identical to a glass of wine, a cigarette, or a Xanax, okay? Food is a drug. The fat the sugar, the white flour in an Oreo goes directly to the pleasure center of the brain.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Within minutes, you know. And there's a great study that was shared to me by a friend of mine, J.J. Virgin, who is an excellent nutrition expert. And she was sharing this study with rats where they had rats that were addicted to methadone. And they gave them the option one day between the methadone or all the sugar they could eat. And every rat went to the sugar.
Of course, that would make sense.
Right?
That gives them the high. The methadone is what takes them away from it. They're going to want that pleasure.
They want the pleasure, right? They gorged on the sugar. So, you know, when we look at drugs and choices that we're making, I'm not saying that your path will be easy. When I got clean and sober, the alcohol part of it took me a solid 365 days of meetings and counselors and therapists and, you know, and now I'm as clean as a whistle. And I've been to every party you can imagine, funerals, weddings, you know, that could care less. So you can go from full addict of sugar, nicotine, drugs, alcohol to absolute clean for the rest of your life. Once an addict, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic or addict is an absolute lie that we've been told by the very industry I'm in, the world of personal growth. If you want to change your life, I don't care where you are today. The great news that Karen and I can share with you is that regardless of how crappy and nonsensical it seems for you to be where you are right now, that sucks. If you are willing to radically change your behavior on a daily basis and get an accountability partner to hold your feet to the fire, in 365 days from now, you can be a totally different person. That is the greatest news in the world. 20% of your day, we believe, should be put into the thought. Affirmation, prayer, meditation, you know, like really good journaling, all of that stuff, 20% of your day. 80% of your day should be engrossed in doing things at first that you don't like to do, that you don't want. That's the secret. It's not just action steps, Karen, and you know this.
Yeah, and I want you guys to really listen up what he's saying. You said it earlier, and I'm glad you're coming back to it. You're saying it's putting yourself in uncomfortable positions. To speak to that a little bit more. This is the secret, you guys. This is the secret to making change.
It really is.
And for success.
If you want something big, you can be busy with action steps all day long and not be anywhere different than you are in 365 days. If you want to just be busy, don't even bother. Still be lazy. I would tell you, don't if you're not going to do the right kind of action steps, just go on the couch with your cookies. But if you want to radically change, the key is action steps that are uncomfortable to do 5 to 6 days a week. That is the key. You know, I have another great story from the Positive Thinking Will Never Change Your Life book about tough action steps, and it has to do with money. Ray Higdon is a good friend of mine, and in 2008 or 9, he came to me because he was in the housing market industry, flipping homes, had made millions of dollars, and lost it all in 1 year. Single dad, 2 kids, and just found out he was losing his house. No money left. And he called me up and said, I can't even afford, I want to meet you lunch for a session with you. I can't even afford the lunch. I said, come on, I'll buy you lunch and we'll sit down. We did. At the end of about an hour and a half of talking, I looked at him and I said, Ray, there's no magic answer I can give you other than this. You have the most incredible personality, dude. If you find something else to sell, you will become a rock star. And we left. And I didn't hear from him for 6 years. And so this is around 2008, and so he leaves, and I write the story in our book, Positive Thinking, and he wrote the rest of it. He did a great job. He left the meeting, and he went and bought The Secret. And for the next 30 days, he sat in his house that was being taken away and created beautiful vision boards, Karen. Oh, just gorgeous vision boards. He did affirmations to the hilt every day. And at the end of 30 days, he was in worse shape than he was when we met. And all of a sudden, a light bulb went off. And he went and he found a network marketing company to get involved with. Okay, very unique, very different. And he gets a network marketing company, and he's stumbling along trying to do it. And then one day, this guy says to him, if you want to be serious about making money, you have to go out and get 20 rejections a day. Don't stop talking to people until you get 20 no's a day, 5 days a week. Ray said it was the hardest thing he ever did.
Yeah.
Like every day making a chart. Kathy said no, Billy said no, and he's looking at this list. He goes, "Oh my God, I got 15 more no's to get." And so
It's hard.
It's really hard, right? Listen, in a year and a half, he was making $50,000 a month.
Good for him.
And today he's making over $1 million a month. And in our book, he writes about how the power of thought betrayed him because he was thinking things that weren't true. I am a millionaire. I am a millionaire. When he was losing his house, when he put that away and got real and went and did the work, his whole world has changed, And so whether you want to earn $1 million a month or you want to earn $5,000 a month, it doesn't matter to me what it is. If $5,000 a month is 2 or 3 times what you're earning right now, you're going to have to get very uncomfortable. If you want to lose 100 pounds, you have to get very uncomfortable. If you want to become a better partner and you're single and you have a lot of resentments against your past partners, you're going to have to get very uncomfortable and work with someone to forgive them, to release the burden you're carrying forward for potential new partners. Now, Karen, this all sounds like tough work, but let me tell you something really cool that happens. If you're willing to keep doing the uncomfortable, that will become your new comfort.
Right. You change, you shift into a higher position for yourself, a greater expansion of who you are and your abilities. No, it's fantastic. I'm here to say that's what I used in my life too, in many different times in my life when I had nothing to, when I do have something, and with money or with homes or with relationships, the same thing. I'm willing to put myself in an uncomfortable place. It sounds like you are too, David, and people you work with, you help them do that.
Yeah. And I say to all my clients, every week we normally take on 1 or 2 new counseling and coaching clients from around the world. And how we do that is that it's usually about that time that someone I've worked with for a period of time is ready to move on. And then so it's about 2 new people a week. And I always say to people up front, listen, I will work as hard as I can for you. I'll be available. You hit a block in between our sessions, I will move mountains if you're hurting to be available for you. That's how hard I'm going to work for you. But I will only work for you that hard if you work that hard for yourself. And if we can get this thought into our mind that you are worth the effort, Karen, this is it, baby.
Yes.
The only way you prove that you're worthy of a new body, a new love, a new life, new finances is what you do. It's not what you think. And when you say to me, I am worthy of this and I'm going to do this work, I'll move freaking mountains to make it happen for you. And that's the passion that I bring to this work. Because I have seen the Ray Higdons of the world, couples that have had an affair, that someone has been telling one person, divorce them, divorce them, divorce them. And some people should get divorced. But there are others that shouldn't. And we have stories in my book about people that have overcome affairs and have a stronger marriage now than before the affair.
That's amazing. I mean, there's a quote in one of your books which segues into what you're talking about, and it talks about how you became positive, but you did it by facing your shadow. I'm going to read it to you guys.
Yes.
He said in the book, and this is the book we're talking about, the one that's called Positive Thinking Will Never Change Your Life, but this book will. Okay, he says, I became and remained positive by relentlessly facing my own shadow and seeking the truth, not simply covering it up with positive affirmations. Accepting and coming to terms with the truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly, is what led me to the actions that helped me change my life for the better. He's saying you must face all these things within yourself, where you are in denial, who you really are, the things you don't want to look at. You're talking about these relationships. Those people had to look at those things, had to be really honest with the other partner to make those marriage work. And so it's really stepping forward and exerting yourself in uncomfortable ways. And I think that quote really sums it up nicely.
Karen, that's exactly the work that all of my clients do. And let me tell you something really interesting about the affair. The couple that we wrote about in the book, there's been thousands of them, but the one is that, the guy had to come in and say why he cheated. He had to say that, I was resentful at you. I was mad at you. I was angry at you. Then I said to the wife, and I worked with them separately. I don't work with couples together very often at all. I don't find that to be efficient. And I said to the wife one time when I was working with her one-on-one, I said, hey, I've worked with you for 4 weeks. When you come in next week, I want you to create a list of what you did that helped encourage your partner, your husband, to sleep with someone else.
She probably went, what?
Exactly. And she said, David, I didn't do anything. And I said, okay, just think about it and see the best, do the best you can.
There's
And
two parties always involved.
absolutely, Karen. And I didn't tell her this, but in 28 years of being a counselor and a coach, I've never worked with a couple where there's dysfunction, where it's 100% one person's fault.
No, it never is. There's always two sides of the story, always.
And she came in the next week and she read the list, and she was crying and I was crying.
Oh.
And the list was 6 months ago, I told my husband he wasn't going to ever have sex with me again. 6 months ago, I quit bringing coffee to the bed. 6 months ago, when he came from work, I was busy with the kids constantly, so I wouldn't have to interrupt with him. If I was in his shoes, I would have had sex with someone else too.
Wow.
You want to talk about someone getting real and answering the question, who am I?
That's tough, and that's being uncomfortable. This is very interesting information you're sharing with us. We're coming to the point in the show where we're going to end. We're going to wrap it up. And this show, David, is a lot about things you're talking about, learning to find your greatness within, expressing that in the world. And we like to inspire people. What else words of advice would you have as people step into this new year, 2018, to be able to find that success and joy and fulfillment in their lives? What else would you like to say that would help inspire them?
Number one, Karen, is that it's worth it. It's worth all the effort, and I look at all these clients over the years that are living dramatically different lives. I mean, it's like my children in some ways. It really is. I'm so proud of them. And so number one, it's worth it. Number two is that as you shift, people around you will shift. And some of them will raise their level of living, and they'll raise their own bar to places you can't believe, not because you're telling them to, but because you're doing it yourself. So this work isn't just about self-centeredness. This work is about doing it for you to reach the highest level of awakening, the highest level of experiencing yourself as a human and a spiritual being, and also giving people around you an opportunity and an incentive to do the same thing. So it's a win-win-win-win-win-win situation.
For all people. Now, David, where can we find you? Where can we find your work? I mean, the links will be below, but why don't you tell the audience a little bit where they can find you?
Yeah, it's so easy. The website is talkdavid.com, T-A-L-K David.com. Karen, because like you, this is all I do 24/7. I just never stop talking, right? So when you go to talkdavid.com, you can find out about the books. We have a daily video boost program. Actually, Karen, we're going to be including you in the daily boost video program starting tomorrow. So you're going to start getting a video a day on inspiration.
Fantastic.
And it's a lot of fun.
His videos are great, you guys. I watched many of them before you came on the show. They're very inspiring just alone. So I say, yes, definitely go. You've got to go to his YouTube show. I'll put the link below too.
We have, about 1,200 free videos on YouTube now. And as Karen, as your viewers are tuning in right now, I will say this openly. If you're ready and really want change and you contact me at talkdavid.com. We'll fit you in the schedule. And our work is 100% money back guaranteed.
Wow, that's fantastic.
We really believe, in our work, so much so that we offer the guarantee. If you do the work with me and you don't see a change, we'll give you your money back. We've never, in 28 years, no one's ever asked for their money back.
Fantastic. Gosh, that's great.
But that's because they work. And I want all of your clients and all of your listeners and your viewers to be able to have the opportunity. So join me, and I'll look forward to helping you.
Well, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much, David. You gave us some really great insights into the positive thinking movement, but gave us some new ways of looking at it that can really help us move forward. So thank you again for being here. We appreciate it.
Karen, I loved it. And I love your passion and energy for what you're doing as well. So thanks.
You're very welcome. Thank you. So there you have it, you guys. This is a gentleman who's out there in the world really pushing those boundaries, pushing those barriers, making himself and others be the best they can be in many different ways. So let's think of positive thinking as only 20% now, and the positive doing and the direction of your dreams is the rest that you need to do to live that life that you find as your successful dream and your fulfillments. So I say, let's get out there and let's put the energy forth to be that person you wish to be, that you already know you are. Just put the energy there, and now you can be that. So thank you for joining me. This was Creative Visions TV. I'm your host, Karen Dahlman, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.